friends, let me first of all thank you all for being with us today, Her Excellency Gala and the European Commissioner for
exhibitions, concerts, theatre productions, and granted Georgia the EU, which represents the firm, our commitment to address all the priorities, secular,
October this year, and was formally presented the day also of the kickoff of the festival. I assure you that it is very promising.
In this context, I'm pleased that the reform effort want to see these efforts sustained and succeed in the coming months and years.
Good evening, bonsoir, goedenavond, salam shidobisa. Dear Prime Minister, dear Ministers, dear Commissioner Varhey, Excellencies, dear guests, dear friends, let me first of all thank you all for being with us today to celebrate Georgia's National Day and the kickoff of Europalia, Georgia. I want to especially welcome the Minister of Foreign and European Affairs of Belgium, Her Excellency Gala, and the European Commissioner for Neighbourhood and Enlargement, His Excellency Oliver Varhey, who have honored us with their presence. Apart from the Prime Minister of Georgia, His Excellency Irakli Garibashvili, we also have the great pleasure to be in the presence of the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Culture, Her Excellency Gianni, Minister of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Ilia Darcheshvili, and the Minister of Defense of Georgia, His Excellency Juansher Burchuladze. The day we are celebrating tonight marks Georgia's liberation from the Russian Empire in 1918. Unfortunately, the world of that time was unable to stand by Georgia as Russia reinvaded us only after 3 years of independence. Today, we have been given a better chance, and Georgia is a democracy with a clear perspective and a clear path to finally join the Union of the European nations. Unlike 100 years ago, today Europe stands with Georgia as it stands with Ukraine in its fight against Russian aggression, and this European support and solidarity is also what we want to honor tonight. Excellencies, dear guests, I will not exaggerate to say that this is an exceptional year in the relations between Belgium and Georgia. This year, Belgium's foremost cultural festival, Europalia, will be dedicated to Georgia's rich and diverse art and history, modern and contemporary arts. Georgia's culture and arts will be displayed at dozens of exhibitions, performances, concerts, cinemas, and theaters all across Belgium and beyond. I want to use this opportunity to thank Europalia Arts Festival and especially the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs of Belgium for allowing us to bring the very best of Georgia to Belgium and share it with all of you. I also want to thank everyone in both Georgian and Belgian teams who have been working so hard to set up the outstanding program that was presented to the public this morning for the first time. Since today's event is also dedicated to Europalia, Georgia, we wanted to give you a very little glimpse into what awaits you all along the 4 months of the festival. Tonight we are sharing with you one of the most appreciated facets of the Georgian culture, the polyphony, the national ballet and opera. I am honored to announce that today we will have the opportunity to see the founders of the Georgian Modern National Ballet, Sokhishvili, a world-class soprano, Ms. Nino Machaidze, an outstanding Georgian pianist, Ms. Dudana Mazmiashvili, and the last but not least, the Bastiani Choir, performing the Georgian polyphony, a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage. And now, without taking any more of your time, it is my privilege to invite the Prime Minister of Georgia, His Excellency Irakli Garibashvili, to address this distinguished audience. Thank you.
Please welcome Prime Minister of Georgia, His Excellency Irakli Garibashvili.
Your Excellencies, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, and dear guests, dear Minister, dear Commissioner Rahe, my dear friends, first of all, I would like to express my gratitude and the gratitude of the Georgian people and the Georgian government to the government of Belgium and Her Excellency, Madam Minister, for the support and warm hospitality. I would also like to thank everyone who contributed to the organization of today's event. A great journey of the Georgian culture in Belgium and beyond is about to start. It is a great honor for us that this year's Europalia will be dedicated to Georgia. Georgia's ancient history and rich culture will be represented with dozens of exhibitions, concerts, theater productions, and literary evenings. The Georgian culture has never been represented abroad on such a comprehensive scale. Therefore, it makes it an excellent opportunity for us to introduce one of the oldest histories and cultures to Brussels and many other beautiful cities of Belgium and beyond. This is especially important for us today, when all our efforts are aimed at joining the European Union. Regaining our place among the European nations has been the dream of many generations of Georgians, and we are ready to do all that it takes to make this dream come true. Indeed, in the last decade, we have managed to achieve historic milestones, including by signing the association agreement, free trade agreement with the European Union, and being granted visa-free travel regime with the European Union, and becoming one of the front runners among the nations that aspire to join the European Union. Last year, as you know, the European Union granted Georgia the EU membership perspective, which represents the biggest foreign policy achievement of Georgia's modern history. Since this landmark decision, we have been sparing no effort to obtain the EU candidate status by the end of this year and open a completely new chapter in Georgia's Western integration. With full responsibility, I would like to reaffirm our commitment to address all the priority recommendations of the European Commission and earn the candidate status. We have never deviated from our chosen path, and we will make sure that nothing stands on the way of Georgia's democratic, European, and prosperous future. Dear friends, we believe that our history, culture, values, and recent achievements have prepared us to tackle the challenges on the path to European Union. Georgia's geography made sure that the Georgians have lived a very rich history. At the crossroad of Europe and Asia, Eastern and Western civilizations, in the proximity to the Great Silk Road, being the epicenter of the battles between great empires, and very often the target of these confrontations only strengthened our nation through centuries and shaped our identity and our values. Our longing to join the European Union is rooted in this unique historical experience. And this is what has given us the confidence to continue on this path when only few people thought we could make it. Ancient Colchis, the holders of the Golden Fleece, the early Christian Georgians in the 4th century, or the masters of the early Georgian Renaissance in the 12th, 13th centuries, laid the foundation of the nation that withstood many calamities of history, but managed to not only to survive, but to give the world many masterpieces of our architecture, goldsmithery, and literature. The 12th century epic poem, The Knight in Panther's Skin, by Shota Rustaveli, further shaped our worldview and not less importantly helped us keep our unique language, the very same language we spoke in the times of Rome and still continue to speak, the language we used to write with the unique and ancient alphabet that is said to exist at least as early as the 7th century before Christ. The 3 written systems of the Georgian alphabet are today part of UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage of humanity. As our ambassador already announced, tonight we will have the opportunity to hear the Georgian polyphony. This polyphony, secular, ritual, religious, layman's, or martial, represent probably the best, the spirit, and the creativity of the Georgian people. Every time I speak about Georgia's European identity, I cannot ignore probably one of the most important elements of our affinity with all other Europeans, the wine. I'm saying it with caution though, as I'm conscious that we are in the country which elevated the beer, not the wine though, yet, to the realm of arts. Georgia is believed to be the birthplace of wine. One of the oldest traces of 8,000 years old wine production were found on the territory of Georgia. The ancient tradition of making the Kvevri wine, as we call it, has been declared a UNESCO intangible cultural monument of the world. The cultural life of the early 20th century was one of the most remarkable expressions of the Georgia's cultural expression. Our capital, Tbilisi, became one of the most important centers of modernism and avant-garde art at a time of great political, cultural, and social shifts in the world. Modern Georgian theater, cinema, opera, ballet, fine arts, literature, and poetry are still not widely known to a bigger part of the world. And it is our privilege of our generation to share it with you all. The reason why I made this humble overview of Georgia's history and culture was to tell you what we will be bringing to Belgium this autumn during the 4 months of the Europalia Georgia Arts Festival. My dear friends, today we're also marking the 105th anniversary of Georgia's independence. 105 years ago, as soon as Georgia regained its independence from Russia, our first democratic republic adopted the first constitution. And this constitution, on which our current constitution is based, reflected the most progressive tendencies in Europe of that period. The young but short-lived Georgian Democratic Republic already advocated such values of freedom, democracy, and rule of law. Being in Belgium, I cannot bypass mentioning the fact that that constitution was particularly appreciated by the Belgian members of the delegation of the European Socialists, visiting Georgia in 1920. In this context, I would also like to recall a very famous Georgian man, Michel Mushelishvili. Michel Musheli, a Georgian scholar and co-author of the draft European Constitution. He was a man who was, as we say, ahead of time, and who was passionate with the idea of the united Europe. He predicted its formation. And Michel Musheli once said, "Georgia knows that it belongs to Europe. It is necessary that Georgia takes its rightful place in Europe, and Western countries should welcome Georgia into their family." These words, my dear friends, were pronounced almost a century ago. Today we are already welcome to the family of the European nations. And this is also what we want to celebrate together with you. My dear friends, let me know that our gathering, our meeting is taking place at a very difficult time of European history. Russia's invasion of Ukraine threatens modern-day values and fundamental principles of the rules-based international order. Georgia firmly stands with our friendly nation, with Ukraine and with Ukrainian people, and by the free world facing today's important global challenges. Russia's invasion of Ukraine started a war which affects all of us. Georgia experienced the Russian aggression for too many times. You all know that almost 15 years ago, we had a full-scale war with Russia in 2008. And our country suffered heavy human losses, and 20% of our territory is still occupied by Russian troops. My dear friends, to sum up, I would like to thank you for being here tonight and to share with you the strong belief of the Georgians that achieving the goal of many generations of Georgians to take our rightful place in the family of democratic nations of Europe is not only in the interest of Georgia, but also will make this family stronger and more united. Thank you very much.
Dear Prime Minister, Minister Garibashvili and Burshulaje, Commissioner for Neighborhood and Enlargement Vareli, Ambassador Makaro Blishvili, distinguished guests, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is truly an honor to be here with you tonight, and let me begin with our sincere and heartfelt congratulations to Georgia. Georgia's Independence Day falls on the 26th of May, but it is exceptionally being celebrated today. The day of the official visit of the Georgian Prime Minister to Belgium, the day also of the kickoff of the festival Europalia Georgia. The program is of a unique festival, which will officially start on the 4th of October this year and was formally presented to the public a few hours ago, and I can assure you that it is very promising. Europalia is the flagship event of Belgian cultural diplomacy. It has strengthened our cultural exchange with invited countries for more than half a century. This year, Georgia will be the 25th host country to celebrate its cultural heritage. The diversity of artistic projects and locations for exhibitions and performance is impressive. The program was presented to the press this morning in the presence of Minister Tea Tsulukiani, and of course, this program serves a statement to the immense heritage of Georgia. As is often the case, the vitality of a nation's identity is mirrored in a cultural richness and creativity that manifests itself in all forms of the arts. But culture can also be savored on the plate. The festival will also offer an insight into the concept of Supra, the traditional Georgian festival. This festival embodies the spirit of hospitality that is perhaps one of the most enchanting aspects of Georgian culture. Let me give you a first taste. Around a table filled with sumptuous food and wine, and maybe some beers, as we will be in Belgium, Georgia has the oldest wine culture in the world, so we will have some wine, I'm sure of it. Friends and strangers gather to share stories, laughter, and unforgettable moments. Isn't this the best way to get to know better each other? I'm sure yes. I'm convinced that this festival will go down as one of the key events in relations between our two countries, and that it will help to reinforce the ties of friendship that unite Belgium and Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, there is more to celebrate today. This morning, we had excellent political exchanges between our two governments. We discussed the current state of our bilateral relations, progress made, and opportunities ahead. It is Europe Georgia recently turned to when it declared itself a candidate country to join the European Union. Georgia is part of the European family, as its recent participation in the European political community in Moldova has further demonstrated. Ties between the EU and Georgia have existed for more than 20 years and are now closer than ever. Prime Minister, your government is currently implementing the 12 recommendations formulated last year by the European Council to enable Georgia to achieve the status of European Union candidacy country. You have provided us with an update on the evolution in several domains. We are looking forward to further improvements in the coming months and the progress report of the European Commission in the autumn. Rest assured that Belgium supports Georgia's European dream. We will act accordingly in the interest of a prosperous Europe from Lisbon to Tbilisi. We are looking forward to the future, our common future. Belgium stands alongside Georgia today, and we will continue to do so tomorrow and in the times ahead. Thank you very much, and Gamarchos Orsante.
Please welcome the European Commissioner for Neighborhood and Enlargement, His Excellency Oliver Varhey.
Dear Prime Minister, dear Foreign Ministers, dear Ambassadors, Excellencies, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. Gamar Joba, as they say. It is a great honor to be here with you today and to be able to celebrate with you the independence of Georgia. I'm delighted that this year's edition of the Europalia Arts Festival is dedicated to Georgia. This will offer an excellent opportunity to explore Georgia's fascinating past, rich culture, traditions, bustling contemporary arts and scene, and hopefully the very near future of Georgia. I have had the privilege to visit your wonderful country several times. And since the beginning of my mandate, what struck me the most each and every time I go there is the tradition and the hospitality. Something that is clearly on display today and something on which we can build our common future. Because we are here today to celebrate Georgia's past, but our eyes are turned towards the future. Georgia is fundamentally European. Its heart, its soul. Our common roots and heritage go back to the Greeks and the Romans, and the values that we share bind us together with the European family. I state here again today that Georgia's future is in the European Union. We are at a historic juncture. 1 year ago, Georgia was given a European perspective by the European Council. In this context, I'm pleased that the reform efforts in Georgia are underway, and we want to see these efforts sustained and succeed. I assure you that your hard work and commitment will be assessed objectively and will pay off. From our side, we will continue to support Georgia on its EU path. The Economic and Investment Plan is a key tool bringing Georgia and the EU closer together every day. With our 1.2 billion euros of investments mobilized already, I look forward to advancing ambitious projects like the Black Sea, digital and electricity cables in the coming months and years, linking us closer together. This evening we see how Georgians come together to celebrate what unites them: a deep love of their country, their confidence and desire to share Georgia's beauty and strength with the rest of Europe. I hope that the same spirit, Georgians from all walks of life can combine their talents and aspirations for the common purpose of Georgia's European future. Indeed, I sincerely hope that Georgia will deliver on the necessary conditions and that on next year's Independence Day, we will be celebrating Georgia as an EU candidate country. And by closing, I just want to extend also our encouragement for everyone to visit all the events that have been planned, because the country has much to offer and much we don't know about this country here in Europe. So thank you very much. And again, congratulations for your National Day. Thank you.